So Texas is in a pivotal season, as many know, right? 3 years of Tom Herman have yielded 25-15 for an overall record. You're talking about a Texas Bowl win, a Sugar Bowl win, and an Alamo Bowl win. All bowl wins, right? Okay, cool. But is it where Texas wants to be? Absolutely, positively not. You needed 14 games to win 10, even when you won that Sugar Bowl against a Georgia team that, most SEC fans will tell you they didn't want to be there anyway. And DeAndre Baker didn't play. Best corner for Georgia. And at the time, DeAndre Baker still hadn't given up a TD since 2016. And then he did not have a great rookie season for the Giants. But the point remains, great college football defensive back. So you're looking at Tom Herman and you're going, okay, something needs to change. And he heard you. So he goes and he fires Tim Beck. He fires Todd Orlando. He hires Mike Yurcich as his offensive coordinator, and he hires Chris Ash as his defense coordinator, and he's blowing up basically everything but Herb Hand, right? Even removing the play calling privileges from himself. He's going to be the CEO coach this year. And it needs to go right for him. They need to be back in the Big 12 championship game, and they probably need to win a Big 12 championship for him to feel secured. Because Chris Del Conte, the athletic director at Texas, has said, look, you trust your head coach, but he knows you only get to blow up your staff one time. You only get to pull that move once. But you got to get something out of it this year, because taking L's and the way that they took L's ain't going to go down well. You can't lose to Texas Christian in a year where they have a losing record. You can't lose to Baylor ever, even in a year where they win 11 games and they make the Sugar Bowl. We would have let you slide on LSU because, one, played LSU closer than almost anybody else, and that's one of the greatest college football teams ever, and certainly better than Oklahoma. But then you got beat like a drum by Oklahoma, all right? Got beat like you stole something. CeeDee Lamb saw 4 Texas defenders and took them all to the house, all right? 9 sacks of Sam Ehlinger. Something had to give, something had to change. Having to get a late field goal to beat Kansas ain't going to help you either, right? It's just not. Coming out in the 1969 unis and then needing a thriller on the Longhorn Network to beat Les Miles in Kansas, that's a bad look. Now, going into 2020, they have, once again, what I think is one of the better classes in 2020, and it's nothing new for the University of Texas. As a matter of fact, since Tom Herman has taken the reins, all they've done is recruit well. Literally all they've done. They have so many guys that terrify me, all right? Bijan Robinson out of Arizona, averaging like 17 yards per carry out of high school and 3 2,000-yard seasons, being compared to Alvin Kamara, terrifies me. Roschon Johnson fell into that running back position last year out of need, and now he might be the second best tailback on the team. You return a healthy Jordan Whittington, who is one of the best athletes in the country when he came out. You have Jake Smith over there, who is white chocolate. I love this kid. Like, in a year where Spencer Rattler was still playing high school football for Pinnacle and putting up numbers, the Gatorade Player of the Year was Jake Smith, okay? Get that dude the ball. You have absolute trees on the outside in Brennan Eagles and Malcolm Epps. You have dudes. You have what I think is one of the most courageous and coolest leaders in football in Sam Ehlinger. Don't think much about him as a passer, even though he got better. But that dude fought back from so much, including losing his dad, and took the reins at Texas. I love him as a leader. I need to develop him into something other than Tim Tebow, right? Which is the comp right now. You need to develop into a passer, and that's why you bring in Yurcich. But you need to put him in better position to succeed. It's a big part of it because he's a big, strong kid. He's got a huge lower body, and he's great running with the football, but you need him to be a precision passer. You need to develop him. And that's the story with Texas. You have to develop the players because it doesn't matter that you put together these top recruiting classes if the kids don't get better. You know, you had a top 3 recruiting class, and what do you have to show for it? You know, Oklahoma is begging for a top 3 recruiting class, particularly on the defensive side of the football. I think Caden Stearns could be one of the best defensive backs in all of football this year. Another guy that absolutely terrifies me. You're bringing in guys like Jaquindon Jackson, who once he gets his ACL injury rehabbed and he's ready to go, could be your heir apparent quarterback, could be an outstanding wideout. You have Hudson Card right there, who's going to be learning at the knee of Sam Ehlinger, going to be learning this Mike Yurcich offense. You have guys Daniel Young could absolutely be a dude. I can keep rolling them off, right? But that's kind of the issue right now. If you are Texas and you haven't put together the kind of season that you should put together in 2020, you might need to move on. You got to travel to Baton Rouge this year, and you got to not get embarrassed. Matter of fact, you probably need to get a W for everybody to be comfortable with what Tom Herman has done. We're going to look and see what it looks like during the spring practices that start in March. We're going to look and see what it looks like at the spring game. But it ain't going to know, we're not going to know much about what Texas is until that LSU game against an LSU team that, quite frankly, we don't expect to be as good as last year's team, but we didn't expect that LSU that they faced this year to be that good, and they were. Now, if Tom Herman puts those kids through another death camp in August, they're going to get hurt again. And if they get hurt again, they're not going to be able to be healthy until the bowl game like last year. You know, you suffered some injuries early on. Talk about Oklahoma State, LSU. You got beat to hell in October by Oklahoma. So through the last 6 weeks of the season, you didn't really have anything to give. You had to play guys like Anthony Cook. You had to absolutely put out guys that were unproven. But now they all have some seasoning. Joe Assai is going to move to basically a pass rusher spot, right? You're going to get him opportunities to come after the quarterback. You're going to go back to a four-man front. You're going to play match quarters. You have the guy that was coordinating the defense when Tom Herman was calling the offense at Ohio State and they won national championships, right? You got a guy in Mike Yurcich who has turned lemons into lemonade at Oklahoma State, who was quarterback coach at Ohio State, and is now coming to do what he really loves, call plays, install the offense at Texas. You have the ingredients. And if you don't get it right, the buck has to stop with the guy in charge. The buck has to stop with the guy who said we have some elite players. The buck has to stop with the guy who made fun of a reporter for mispronouncing Sam Ehlinger's name. Talk about it's Ehlinger with the hard G. You have to be the guy that everybody thought you were at Houston. You have to be the guy that turned Greg Ward into a conference championship winning quarterback, the guy that won a New Year's Six Bowl, the guy that got the grill, the guy that put together the Office Space commercial where they're beating up a fax machine on National Signing Day. I love it. The guy that Tom Herman was at Ohio State, who was fun, who knew offensive football, who called great offensive football. The guy who went to Houston and then snatched up the best defensive tackle in the class and got him to go to a group of 5 school. That guy hasn't shown up at Texas. Maybe it's the pressure of the position. Maybe it's his expectations. Maybe it's that he's just hearing too much noise. But one way or another, we're going to find out in 2020. And if you put together another 8-5 season, you're going to get the Houston treatment. You're going to get the Major Applewhite treatment. You're going to get fired. And I can't say that you didn't see this coming, because you know how the University of Texas gets down. You know what they're willing to put up with. You know what they're absolutely not willing to put up with. All right. Let's talk to Mason Fine, who is outstanding, and I sincerely love talking with him. I hope you enjoyed as well.